Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, September 23rd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, so let's take a quick look at what happened yesterday, and then we'll get into what we think is going to happen today. So yesterday we had a massive push higher, and then we basically just rotated at higher prices. We created a P shape with the profile, which normally means that it's more short covering and less new money buying. But I would disagree with that as a analysis just because of what happened with the Fed yesterday. All this rotation up and down inside this range during the Fed's, conversation, the market had a chance to pull back if it wanted to, and it didn't. Okay, so we closed on the lower end of this sort of balancing area, but then the overnight opened and just pushed completely higher. They filled the gap that we had left behind on Monday, but it doesn't count. We don't consider that filled until it's filled in the regular trading hours. However, it is bullish that the overnight inventory is about 100% net long, and they've already done their rotation. They've rotated back down into yesterday's range, and so we've absorbed a lot of that overnight inventory. So essentially what we're looking at this morning is a potential breakout of yesterday's high, right? So again, as always, when we open inside the previous day's range, we assume there's going to be some chop. There's going to be some grinding around early on in the day. But where that grinding goes can tell us quite a bit. So on the downside, what I'm watching is this node of volume and time from the overnight, which corresponds with sort of the upper end of the value area of yesterday. So it's sort of where our bigger nodes of volume started right here. There's no one giant node that stands out just because of how much rotation we had in that second half of the day in here. It's kind of, the volume is very balanced all in this range. So there's not a specific level I'm looking at there. But then when I see how much time the overnight traders spent in this range here, I would assume that any counter auction to the downside should find support in there. Okay, so if the market opens and it trades down into this area, and it finds support, I would assume it's going to head back up to try to get above yesterday's high. If it broke below and then came back up and found resistance, I would assume it's got further downside continuation, but not necessarily that much, right? Because of how much support we put in yesterday. Go away, drawing. Because of how much support we put in yesterday on the lower end of balance, right? We should find some support in there today during the regular trading hours. So if this area here were to fail and the market were to sell lower, I wouldn't think it's going to go much lower than, say, like the half back from yesterday, overnight low. So we could find support anywhere in here. And like I said, it's tough to pick an exact level because the volume is so evenly spread. But I would definitely say that half back overnight low should act as strong support if this node of volume and time doesn't. Okay. To the upside, what I'll be looking for and what I think is probably the most likely scenario here is that we push above yesterday's high and then come back in and find some support there, start bringing in some volume, put in some pink candles above yesterday's high, and that will set us up to go fill that gap, right? That gap fill is a high probability just because we're already inside the gap. Once you push up in a gap, if you don't fail and immediately pull back below again, odds are you're going to go fill that gap, not necessarily that day, but very soon. Okay, so we didn't quite fill it yesterday, but I think today that gap fill is in play. And obviously the fact that the overnight filled it is just one more slightly bullish signal that we could do it in the regular trading hours. Okay. So to me, the most likely trade is pushing above yesterday's high, finding support and going long there for continuation to the gap. Okay. But then remember, there'll be some resistance at that low from Friday over here. So once you get up to there, you got to see, do I monitor for continuation higher? As we start to get up into these nodes, does it fail and start to pull back down, or can we build support and grind our way through higher? So the gap fill to me seems very high probability, but getting through this, I don't know yet. I'll have to wait and see when we get there. Overall, I'm slightly more bullish on the market this morning because of the new trend in value. Okay, let me just zoom out here. So remember, value is much more important than price. Price is just an advertising mechanism. It can go anywhere at any time just to fool us into taking trades. But it's very hard to move the value area, which makes up 70% of the day's trade. And the software is frozen. There we go. So you can see for the last 3 days now, value is overlapping to higher and then higher. So that's a sign, or for the last 2 days. So that's a sign that the downtrend is broken. Okay, we had a downtrend in value being lower, but now overlapping to higher and then higher value is a sign that that downtrend is broken and that we're beginning an uptrend. This week reference is automatically repaired because we opened above it. Okay, I don't love the taper at the low here, 22 contracts. But here is the market's chance to start to build in volume, create some support here. If they have it, they can go fill that gap. If not, they'll have to rotate back down, probably looking into this area around 97 for support. Market internals opening bullish with the overnight inventory being net long. So we'll give them some time to settle in before they give us a better signal. Okay, so on the first push down, we found support. Will we find it again around yesterday's high? Good morning, Mangala. Good to see you. RK Leon, good morning to you. Design Knob, good to see you. Welcome. Mangala, a lot of negative economic numbers from Europe mixed in the U.S. Who cares? Let's just trade the technicals. Let's just trade the two-way auction process. Let those traders decide why they want to get long or short. We'll just see what they're doing. Good morning, Arthur. Good to see you. Naif in the house. Good morning to you. Vito is back with us. Good morning. Tim, welcome. Rainier back with us. Good to see you. John is here. Good morning to you. Jose, good morning. And Mark. Okay, so that's the second time we pushed down in there, or actually like 2 or 3 times. We're finding support. So this is a good sign that we're building the momentum we need to try to go fill that gap. The Bulls are back in town. The Bulls are back in town. Man, they really want that gap fill right away. They want to waste no time. Oh, man, that was a song pre-coffee. Got a pre-coffee song. All right, so the gap is filled. Like I said, I do think we're going to find some resistance in that node of volume from Friday just above us, and we'll likely have to come back down and backfill some of these levels that we just pushed right through. But this is a bullish way to start the morning for sure. So yeah, we're going to find some resistance as we start to push up into these like 21, 22 numbers. Come back down here and start to build in some support again. But value is higher. Which is a sign that we're going to get the continuation of the momentum to the upside. Internal's looking really good. All right, so once again, I'm looking for some resistance in here. So at this point, I'm trailing my stop really tight because we could start to pull back at any moment. Oh, whoops. So essentially, now that exuberance to go fill the gap has been absorbed by the market, now new buyers have to step in, right? And so they're going to wait for a pullback, and wherever they start to build support, that will be a sign to us of how strong the momentum is in the market. So if they have to pull all the way back down to this node down here by yesterday's high at around 44.07, that would be a little bit less bullish. But if they can build volume up in here somewhere and then just start to push higher again, that would be an even more bullish scenario. Good morning, Philip. Good to see you. Shk 230. Good morning to you. Nicholas, good morning to you. Welcome. Noto Cactus Heart, good morning to you. Welcome back. Vincent, good morning. AZ Chris, good to see you. Ronald, yeehaw! Riding that bull, are you, my friend? All right, well, they're building the momentum up here. That's a little more bullish to see, that they didn't need to pull back to bring in new buyers. Erman, it's my pleasure. Thank you for stopping by. Please smash that like button. Miles, yeah, I've for the last 2 or 3 days, TradingView's been kind of laggy, especially with entries. It's been getting on my nerves. Like I'll put an order in and it'll fill, but it won't show it as filled on the screen for another like 10 seconds. Driving me bonkers. David asks, could I clarify how I saw the volume node around 22? Yeah, I was just sitting there from Friday. So if I just zoom over here to the left. Do you see where this this bunch of like red candles are? So these candlesticks on the left side over here, that's the volume profile. And so it basically just, there's 2 different ways that it presents the volume. It has the actual number of contracts that traded, which I'm sorry, I'm so zoomed out you can't read it. But it has the actual number of contracts, and then it has these little candlesticks to the right. And so the way that those candlesticks work is the larger they are, the more volume that was traded there. And then the colors, the red is the top 30% of volume. The pink is the middle 40% and the white is the lowest 30%. So if I just really quickly glance over with my eyes, I can see we spent a lot of time in here because I see all the TPOs in this area, right? So each one of those letters represents a 30-minute time period. So we spent a bunch of time in there, and we put in a bunch of volume because I see all those red candlesticks. And so that just tells me if we put in a lot of time and volume, it's likely to act as resistance. But this market is having no trouble working their way through it. So that is very bullish, guys, that the momentum traders are taking back over. Okay, so they've now repaired that next target to the upside, that weak M period high, left behind from Friday. Now, I wouldn't expect this massive push higher to continue like this. I really do feel like we need to pull back at some point. Maybe now back down into this 21 area. This is starting to feel a little FOMO-y. But one sign of a trend day is if you build, little nodes of volume, push higher, node of volume, push higher, node of volume. That is a sign the market is trending, and that is what we're getting this morning. So it feels bullish. So this, what you're looking at here, is the same chart as we were just looking at, the market profile for the ES. But this is in 2-tick increments, so the range is just a little bit tighter. Come on. So by being zoomed out like this and looking at these ranges a little bit tighter, we can start to see that we're just entering into a previous balancing area right now. So we should have no problem working our way to the opposite end of balance, perhaps even today. But there'll be some resistance in all these little nodes of volume. Here, here, here. Where these big nodes over here, this is the combined volume. There'll be some resistance there and there. And then we expect to pull back down and put in some volume before pushing back through. Ronald, good morning to you. Erman, thank you for smashing that like button. Appreciate you. Trading Donkey, good morning. Donkey says we're back above the 50, baby. I didn't even think about that looking at the daily. Yes, sir. That 50 was at about 44.23. So right in this range. Another thing that could act as support now that we've pushed through. If we pull back down, start putting in some volume there. Naif, remember my own words that exuberance can continue. No, it's absolutely true. If there's one thing we know about these momentum buyers in the market over the last couple years, they can push it so friggin' far. They can just push it all day long. But this is just quite a bit for the first like 20 minutes of the day. Tom, good morning to you. Armand asks, if we got a run on low volume, is that a good indicator that it'll dump for sure? Yeah, as the volume gets thinner and thinner. So just like look at the overnight here. So you see how the volume gets thinner and thinner and thinner as they come up? That is you visually seeing that the market is running out of buyers, right? It's a two-way auction process. So when you run out of buyers, what is the market going to do? It's going to head back down. And it's going to look for more buyers at a lower level. So that's why this right here is bullish, because there are buyers stepping in at this higher price. They don't even need the market to pull back down here. They're happy to do business up here. Trading Donkey back test that 50 at 21 and straight to Valhalla. To the moon. Oh no, Salmon River, did they show you some like trading guru ad? That's the worst. Please don't click that. Watch it. Watch it to the end, but don't click it. Amir, good morning to you. Henry, good morning. Bob, welcome. Good morning to you. Naif says we're approaching the overnight high on the Q. Let's pop out and take a look at the Q. It's so funny that the NQ, because I have it in 2-tick increments, looks like it's more like condensed than the ES. It's usually the opposite. Yeah, not quite as strong this morning. You're just pushing into that resistance from Friday. So there's going to be a lot of resistance before getting above that overnight high. But the bulls are the bulls. So if they want to keep pushing, they'll keep pushing. The overnight on the NQ is a little more rotational as well. Wasn't quite as bullish. But there's a lot of support in the area right here where the market found its low today, with how much time they spent in here. But they had to really work for it. All right, back to the ES. No, my stop got filled and now I'm flat again. Probably should have bought this node right here. But I just feel like we need to pull back down a little bit into the 20s. So I'm happy to let it have one more big push up and then grab it on the next pullback if I missed it here. Chris. Push it real good. Do 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 do. Real good. D, good morning to you. Welcome. Man, they didn't even have to touch the zero line. The buyers are hungry for them some ES contracts today. Ambush 404. Do I include overnight volume or only rely on the market open session? Yeah, so I do absolutely look at overnight volume and time, but I don't consider either to be as valuable as volume from regular trading hours. So of course I look at it, I make note of it, particularly first thing in the morning like this when a lot of the inventory is held by overnight traders. Remember, the European traders are still trading right now. But yeah, I definitely put much more weight on what happens in the regular trading hours. Mediterra, maybe we see 44 before pulling back. Yeah, we could get there. Let's look back at this previous balancing area that we were in before. So this is the one that broke to the downside and led to the sell-off. So we got some volume at the 33-ish area. And then a lot of it up there, yeah, at about 42. 42 to 44. So you're right. We may have to get up into there to find the real resistance. So now as we pull back down into this little node of volume that acted as support before, I'm asking myself, what are the buyers doing when we get in here? I'm clicking over here and I'm looking at the ticks. Are they going to start pushing back up, or are they going to continue to push down? That's the sign of the buyers stepping in. Rob, good morning to you. Welcome. Okay, so now there's going to be some interesting information in this B period here. If the buyers can step in, they haven't quite done it yet, but if they can start to step in and push the market higher here, we'll probably start one time framing higher, which is bullish. But if not, we might get an inside bar on the B period, which is a sign of setting up for rotation at these higher prices. So a lot is riding on the buyers pushing us higher. All right, well, obviously we found support in that node and got another push higher. So it's the momentum buyers in control here, guys. They haven't given up yet. They're still pushing it. Ticks are trending down. So they're likely going to run out here somewhere. But I wouldn't short it yet. Donkey saying he mentioned it in the Discord, but losing the 50 at this point would be a problem. Looking to get long at 21 with a nice defined stop. It's a great trade. Wait for the pullback and go with the momentum. Naif, you're voting for Erman to do his naked run. So what's he saying? 450 by the end of the week. Oh yeah, man, 450. We'd have to break out above that previous balancing area, but it's not impossible. Ooh, I don't know. By Friday, by tomorrow, it's iffy. I certainly think getting to like 448 is doable, but there's going to be some resistance in there. I'll have to wait and see. Arthur, smash the like button. Yes, please. Let's get those likes going. Bullish on the likes. 55 out of 100. We can do better than that. The boy chip. What resistance would be good to get into some quick day trade puts before hopping back into the calls? Well, I can show you where there's resistance, which is, like we said, between like 42 and 44. But I never trade against the trend. The market is one-time framing higher. It's extremely exuberant. It has shown us across the boards, pretty much with the exception of the ticks now pushing below the zero line, which is telling us we need that pullback. Across the boards, it is saying we are very bullish today. We want to continue to trend higher. We want to push this market. So I wouldn't short this, in my opinion. The better trade is to wait for the pullback and then go long. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, but then I'll be leaving money on the table, like a short, down into support, that's money I could make. Well, for me, the way I would trade is I would wait for the pullback and then just go long with larger size because I have more confidence in that long trade. C. Marshall, good morning to you. Mark, I'm so happy to hear it, man. I'm here every day to provide the soothing sensation of calmly looking at the market-generated information. That was, of course, the big shift for me when I switched to trading with the profile and to trading the two-way auction process as opposed to the way I used to trade where I was just looking at like 1,000 different technical signals and guessing what the market was going to do, is that it allows me to be calm because I'm always looking at all the possibilities. I know what the market's going to do if it'll go sideways. I know what it's going to do if it'll go down. And I know what it's going to do if it'll go up. So I can kind of just chill and watch what it's doing and then kind of just go with it. You know what I mean? Go with whatever the market's doing instead of having to guess. 777 Athletic. What is the name of the market profile software? It is called Window Trader. Window Trader without a W at the end of window. C. Marshall, recession canceled. I mean, we never really got into recession conversation. I think the pullback was only 5%. So let's call it recession delayed for a future date. To be decided. All right, so once again, they're starting to build another node of volume here. So we're going to look at those ticks and see what's happening. Boom. Buyers are stepping in. That boy Chip don't want to chase, so waiting for a pullback. That's the way to do it. If the market's going to continue to trend higher, there'll be lots and lots of opportunities to buy dips. And you can buy them with relatively tight stops. Because as I mentioned on a trend day, the way the volume builds is it builds a node, pushes higher, builds a node, pushes higher. So when you get a push higher and it starts to pull back down, you can go long in there and just put your stop right below it. So in this case, if you were long here, stop here. If you got long in here, stop here. You know? All right, looks like Mediterra was right. We got to get up to that 44.44 level. Hairy next ES resistance. So yeah, we just showed that a bit earlier, but let me zoom out and I'll show you. So it's going to be where all these nodes of volume are right in here. That's going to be the resistance. Right in there. Okay. And then you got support here. Support here. And then that's 50 daily. It's probably like right around here. Whoops. Glitchy ass software. So support, support, and then the 50 daily, which is like in here, support. Tom, on your other screen, one is tick and the other chart. Oh, what are my charts? Okay, so the one on the top left here, that is the breadth of the market. The one on the middle, top middle, is what's called the advancers versus decliners. And then the bottom two down here on the bottom left, bottom middle are the ticks for the NYSE and the NASDAQ. So all four of those are basically just telling you how many buyers versus how many sellers on the underlying shares. Speaking of which, we can see on the ticks that we're running out of buyers up here. So we got right into that resistance that we pointed out a few minutes ago. And now the buyers are getting weaker. So again, you can go long in here, but with a tight stop, right? Go long in here, but with a tight stop. Webcamschat.com, huh? Hot boys and girls video chat. Tell me more. These people. Trading donkey. You checked it out pretty quick. Were there hot girls and boys in the video chat? But not that hot. They let us down, those liars. Those liars. All right, so we found support in that first node. Buyer stepping back in. The trend remains intact. But like I said, they have a lot of resistance to work through here. It won't be as easy to push up as it was in here. They got to really grind through. Adello webcam is also spamming another live trading site that I'm watching. Bro, how you watching multiple sites simultaneously? Ronald, this market is hot. Yeah. We don't need no hot singles. We don't need no hot boys and girls. We got a hot market. Okay, so again, heavy resistance up in here. But once we break above that 45 level, it should be a pretty quick push up to like 50. Tism. Can the profile tell us if this has been initiative buying or this is short covering? Were there one-time framing buyers at the lows? Thanks. No, not exactly, right? It doesn't tell us. I mean, there's no way to know ever if a person who's going long is closing out a short or they're a new person buying. But what we look at is how the market reacts when it pulls back down into support. So, it pushed higher here, came back down into it. And then what we look at is what's going on with the ticks. They were trending down and then boop, they pop back up, right? And that's what they keep doing. You can see every time we get below the zero line, we just wick right back up. So that's new buyers, right? That's new buyers stepping in. The trend down is a sign that there is some short covering happening here, right? The ticks are trending down while the market is trending up. So there's definitely some shorts covering, but there is also new money buyers stepping in on every dip to buy it up. So that's why we're getting such a powerful trend day, because it's a combination of the two. It's a combination of shorts covering and new money buying. Oh, OTF, you meant other time frame. Yeah, no, we call that one time framing. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed the stream today, please smash that like button. Really helps out with the algorithm to know they ought to send us some more people tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a day here and switch on over to the private stream for Brigade members only. And if you want to join, there's a link in the description. Just costs $10 a month, and you get to stick with us for the rest of the day. So the C period is leaving some single prints behind. Those are likely to get backfilled at some point today. If you're in the Brigade, you can head on over to the website. That link is already live, and I shall be streaming there soon. So I'll see you guys all in a minute. Thank you so very much, and we will see you here tomorrow morning.